Hi, I'm Liam. Welcome to Oxford Online English. In this business English lesson, you'll learn how to talk about marketing strategies and corporate competition. You'll see lots of useful vocabulary and collocations you can use to talk about business strategy.
You'll learn useful language to talk about losing market share, entering a new market, launching new products, and staying competitive in an evolving market.
Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us for this conference call wherever you might happen to be in the world. If you don't know, my name's Dimitri and I lead the marketing department. I'm not sure that you're aware, but our European business has not been doing well in the last year or so. In particular, we've been losing market share to our rivals. A Korean company, Nadon, entered the European market 3 years ago and have adopted an aggressive pricing strategy which is putting pressure on our revenues. Additionally, a German startup called Hammer have expanded their market share in Germany, Austria and Switzerland, partially at our expense. It's clear that we need to respond to these market forces, and I'd like to start thinking about our options during this meeting.
In this presentation, you heard some phrases based on the word market. Let's look at a few of them. Imagine that you want to explain the meaning of these phrases in English. What would you say?
If you're losing market share, then your business has a smaller proportion of the available customers. The phrase in sentence 2 has the opposite meaning. If you expand your market share, you reach a higher proportion of potential customers. You can also gain market share, which has the same meaning.
Market forces. You can also say market pressures. Describes the conditions in a market and how they affect company behavior and strategy. For example, a market in a particular field or a particular area might get more or less competitive with time. Consumers there might get richer or poorer. These are examples of market forces which businesses need to adapt to.
Generally, you can improve your English to talk about these topics by paying attention to collocations. A collocation is when you use words in a specific combination. Expand your market share is a collocation. You might know all the words individually, but could you use them together? With collocations, you need to learn the combination of words as a single block so that you can use them together without thinking. We recommend going back to the presentation text and trying to find more useful collocations. Do the same with the other presentation texts, which you'll see in the rest of this lesson.
You're about to hear the presentation for part 2. Don't forget to listen out for collocations. In the presentation, there are 3 new collocations with the word market. Try to find them as you listen. I'd like to discuss an idea which has been floating around lately and explain why I don't think it's a solution to our problems. I'm talking about China. I've heard from many of you that we should try to enter the Chinese market, but I don't think this is a good strategic move for us right now. First of all, the regulatory barriers to entry are high. Secondly, there's already fierce competition from both local and international companies. Finally, the cost of getting established in a new market can be large, and while we're financially solid, we don't have so much free cash flow, so we'd have to take on debt. Instead, I think we should focus on our North American presence, where we're already in a strong market position and the competition is less intense.
Did you hear the collocations with the word market? Here they are. What does getting established mean? Established means something like stable or comfortable. If you get established in a new market, you reach a position where your business is comfortable and you're not fighting for survival.
There were also several other useful phrases in the presentation. Let's look at a few. Can you remember the missing words? Remember that you can go back and listen to the presentation again if you want.
Here are the answers. Move here means something like decision or plan. It's a noun. If something is a good decision, you can describe it as a good move or a smart move. If you want to enter a new market, there will usually be some barriers to entry. These could be regulatory, laws and rules which are difficult or expensive to follow. They could be cultural. Maybe there isn't much demand for your product in some countries or cultures. They could be financial. Maybe you need to invest heavily to start a new operation. If the barriers to entry are high, then it's especially difficult to get established in a new market.
There are many words which you can combine with the word competition. In the presentation, you also heard intense competition. Here's a task. Go to a good online dictionary. We recommend Longman or Lexico. And find 3 more adjectives which can collocate with the word competition. If your English is intermediate or higher, focusing on collocations is often a better way to improve your vocabulary rather than spending all your time learning individual words.
Again, when you listen to the presentation, try to find new collocations with the word market. There are 3 to find. Another way that we might compensate for the decline in our European business is by bringing new product lines to market, both in Europe and elsewhere. This could help us to expand our customer base and claw back some of the market share we've lost in recent years. Additionally, to cut down on travel expenses, we've been retraining our sales teams so they can work remotely. We started work on this very early, which we hope will give us a competitive edge over other firms that still rely on face-to-face sales. Overall, our strategic vision for the next 5 to 10 years is to take a more global, less Europe-centric approach. That doesn't mean we'll be neglecting our European business, but we'll be focusing more on emerging markets and trying to build a dominant position there.
Here are the 3 new collocations with market. Claw back is an interesting verb. Do you know what it means or can you guess? Claw back means to fight, to get back something which you lost.
Now, to practice the other language you heard, let's look at some questions. Pause the video and try to make answers to these 3 questions. Make sure your answers are full sentences and make them as detailed as possible. Write them down or say them out loud or do both. Ready? Could you do it?
Of course, there's more than one way to answer, but let's look at some sample answers. You could say, a company can expand its customer base by launching new products, entering new regional markets, or attracting new customers through advertising.
You could say a company can gain a competitive edge by having a superior product, having lower prices, or by offering better customer service and support.
You could say, in my country, there's a restaurant chain called Goodies that have a dominant position in the fast food market. It's one of the few countries where McDonald's haven't been able to gain much market share.
If you find it difficult to answer the 3 questions yourself, use our answers as templates. Use the sentence structures we used and change the details to use your own ideas. Also, just practicing your answer once might not be enough. Say your answer out loud several times until you can do it fluently. Let's move on to our last section.
As before, try to find new collocations with the word market in the presentation. This time, there are 3 to be found. So far, we focused more on challenges which we're currently facing, but there's plenty of good news too. In Latin America, we are in a dominant position with 2 of our largest competitors announcing recently that they're planning to get out of the market, which is great news for us and should allow us to consolidate our position further. However, we don't want to get complacent. We have a first mover advantage in most of Latin America, but other companies will notice our success and try to move in. One thing I'd like our product teams to start thinking about is how to keep our pricing competitive and make it difficult for any new market entrants. We should also be looking at long-term trends in South America and make strategic decisions that reflect the changing market conditions across the continent.
Did you find the new collocations? Here they are. In part 2, you heard a collocation which means the opposite of get out of the market. Do you remember it? The opposite is enter the market, as in enter the Chinese market, enter the Brazilian market, and so on. Let's look at some more useful phrases you heard. Can you remember the missing words here?
Can you remember? Pause the video if you need more time to think. Ready? Here are the answers. If you consolidate something, you make it stronger and more stable.
First mover advantage means the benefits you get from being the first to enter a new market or launch a new product. For some time, you have no competition because you were faster than your rivals.
Move in here has the direct meaning of entering a new market, but it has a secondary meaning too. It has the idea of trying to take market share and customers. That's all for this lesson, but there's a lot of information and vocabulary here. We recommend that you go through the presentations again and find new words and phrases to learn. Thanks for watching!
See you next time.